It is the Pacers who hold on and take game 3. And first, let me just say, what a game. I was a bit on the fence about the first 2 games. The first game ended great. Like, the last 3-4 minutes was fantastic. Not just Halliburton's shot, but some of the threes that were made beforehand by Nembhard and Nesmith and Miles Turner banking one off the glass and all of that stuff happening, and still some great shot making by the Thunder. The second game was just more of the beginning of game 1, minus the dramatic ending, and it was just sloppiness, just a lot of turnovers, a lot of really bad basketball. This, from a pure basketball standpoint, all 4 quarters was the best game of the finals so far by far. It was clean. Players had come back. They were composed. I don't know if it was the travel. I don't know if it's just having 2 games of data. Now they're a little bit calm, a little bit more settled, but still obviously want to play hard and have that same intensity. But this was a very good game and very good performance by the Indiana Pacers. You can tell that the Indiana Pacers fed off of their home crowd, because that home crowd is insane. That's the one great thing about having a finals from 2 teams from fairly small markets. Their fans are going to be insane. The fans are going to be wild. Listen, I'm a Lakers fan, but I just know that if this game was in Los Angeles, all the tickets would be taken up by celebrities anyway, and there'd be no fans. Every fan in both the Thunder games and the Pacers game were wearing the shirts that were provided to them. Yes, sirs, but not in Indiana. The Thunder shirts, I don't even know what they said on them, but they were all blue. The entire, arena was blue, and you gotta love that. You gotta love these small town people just absolutely loving their team. And the Pacers, they got great production from all over the place. Tyrese Halliburton, again, the best part about Tyrese Halliburton's game today is he came playing hard from the get-go. He had been too nonchalant, not really forcing the issue, like, you take it, at the beginning of the first 2 games. He came alive at the ending of game 2. Game 1, game 2 was too little too late. He had like 10, 11 points in the fourth quarter. Who cares? You were getting blown out, so it didn't matter. But you just knew, in order for the Pacers to be how good they truly can be, Tyrese Halliburton has to be aggressive from the beginning. And he was in double figures in the first half. He was getting his shots off, over 10 shots in the first half. You just, okay, this is good. Tyrese Halliburton is getting warm early. You don't want your best player to have to try to get warm late. He's the type of guy where he doesn't need too many rhythm shots before some of them goes in. That's what you love about him. And that's why you trust him to maybe not take some shots just to get in a rhythm. If you see shooters like even Steph sometimes, they would take a bunch of shots early to get in their rhythm. They could obviously go in because it's Steph or it's Dame or it's Clay, but maybe they don't. But you trust that if those aren't going in to start, they will go in to end the game. But Tyrese Halliburton said, I'm not waiting for the second half. I'm going to put my foot on the gas pedal in the first half. But he was not the best player for the Pacers tonight. The best player for the Pacers was Bennedict Mathurin off the bench. I really like this guy. He has great athleticism. I really like his right to left handle. He has a nice shot, and he was a 6th pick in the draft. He was the Indiana Pacers' highest draft pick since Rick Smith's, I believe. I don't think I'm mistaken about that. They clearly had high potential about this guy, but he just got passed up in the lineup for other guys who just performed better. Other wings such as Nesmith and Nembhard specifically, who overshined Bennedict Mathurin. But 27 points in 22 minutes, made a bunch of really important threes in that game, and a few great defensive stops as well. I saw him a couple times on SGA and a couple times on J-Dub. J-Dub had a great night as well. He had 26, and I really like this performance by J-Dub just because during a couple of those games, especially against the Nuggets, I was saying, is J-Dub overrated? Because he had a few stinkers against the Nuggets where I was like, this is bad. But he came alive with 26. SGA had 24. The guy who really didn't show up was Lou Dort. He kind of showcases sometimes some of the limitations in his game with being a catch and shoot 3-point shooter on offense. Now, he's a great one-on-one defender. He's an all defense caliber one-on-one perimeter defender. But on offense, his slashing ability, his driving leaves a lot to be desired. His passing ability, his screen setting is not bad, but he is just a straight catch and shoot 3-point guy, and his most important job is being in the right spots and maybe running around and trying to get open looks. But if he's not making threes, then he is more known for his defensive effort. But when you have Tyrese Halliburton having a great game, Bennedict Mathurin having a great game, Nesmith was in major foul trouble. That's why he only had 7 points, actually fouled out of the game. Obi Toppin didn't do much. Nembhard didn't do much. The one who really disappointed me was Miles Turner. The fact that they were able to win this game with Miles Turner only making 3 field goals is very important. But Miles Turner was huge on defense. He blocked a 3-pointer by Chet. Chet in the fourth quarter. So it's all about the timely plays that the Pacers got during that game, and TJ McConnell. The energy, the instant spark that this guy brings when he comes off the bench is awesome. You have to love it. And me as a basketball fan, I absolutely love a guy who can just come in and completely make the game his own. There were more than once where guys were just, lazily inbounding the ball, and he stole the ball. He stole the ball twice. One of them, he immediately laid it back up and got the score. He brings so much energy immediately to a game. He's obviously not the tallest, he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest, but just his ability to just fight and crawl for every little ball, every turnover, every loose point. The fact that he gets so many rebounds being as small as he is just shows the effort. Because a lot of guys who are crazy athletic automatically just rely on their athleticism to get them stuff. But the effort that he shows always comes out. The effort plays from the guys who aren't the most athletic comes out, and you can see it. If you remember at the end of the game, Hallie missed a shot, and then Obi Toppin got a great putback slam. Caruso and Cason Wallace are right there, and they don't box out. What are you doing? You have to box out. That's the one thing that if I'm a coach in the NBA Finals, I am the most livid about. You don't box out. A clear, wide open offensive rebound, you don't find the next person's body and say, you're not getting this ball. You have to hate that, because maybe it's just fatigue. You have to understand, look, they're tired. It's the NBA Finals. They've been going through a lot. It's fair. But it just seemed more like they were ball watching and hoping, you know what, I can get this ball. I can retrieve this. You're not Isaiah Hartenstein, and you're not Chet Holmgren. You need to box out if you want to get your rebounds. And you have to feel disappointed about that. Look, a lot of the NBA Finals just comes down to effort. Some of my favorite Finals players ever are guys like, JJ Barea in 2011 or Matthew Dellavedova in 2016. Smaller, undersized guys who maybe aren't the most athletic. They're definitely not the top of the team sheet, the team roster, but the effort and tenacity that they bring in just lifts the entire mood up. And you have to love to see that from a guy like TJ McConnell. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA, and I love an effort guy like him. But Benedict Mathurin was by far the most important, the most valuable guy for me in this game. He, not single-handedly, but he was the driving force that the Pacers needed off the bench. The Pacers got, I think, 3 times as many bench points as the Thunder did, which is rare because you have guys like Isaiah Joe, who usually can come off the bench, and Aaron Wiggins, who did not replicate his Game 2 performance at all. Guys like Caruso, and the guys like Jay Will, not J-Dub, Jay Will, who can come off the bench and give you an impact. The impact on the bench was by the Pacers players, and they won the bench game. And they understand how important the bench game is, because you think SGA is going to do what he does, Hallie's going to do what he does, Chet, Nembhard, Siakam, they're going to do what they do, but what are the other guys going to do? And the others beat the Thunder tonight. This was a close game, nip and tuck, but then the Thunder really started to separate themselves mid-fourth quarter, towards the end of the fourth quarter. And they played with a lot of heart, a lot of tenacity, a lot of grit. And I don't want to make too many large predictions for the rest of the series, but Game 3 is always a pivotal game because you feel like the Pacers stole Game 1. They stole it. And now they have home court advantage back. It's kind of like in tennis where if I break your serve, now the entire game is it's in my control. Something bad has to happen. You have to break me. You have to do something bad to me that's not supposed to happen for you to take any sort of control back. You have to break my serve back to win the set. It's the same thing in basketball, in finals or playoff series in general. You have to win a game back on my floor. And if the Thunder won this game, especially winning Game 2 by a relative blowout, you'd have to say that now they're in the driver's seat again. Now they're favorites again, especially obviously with them having home court advantage and them being the better team on paper. But on paper does not measure what's in here. And what's in here, you can probably see, is superior on the Pacers' end. At least that's what it looks like so far, because the Thunder are relying a little bit more on their talent than they are actually playing together as a team. And boy, oh boy, the Pacers still have control of this series. Let's see what happens in Game 4, because everything can turn in Game 4. I find that Game 3s and Game 4s are when series, especially final series, are turned around the most. Remember in 2015, the Warriors won Game 1. That's when Kyrie and Kevin Love got injured. But LeBron played 2 of the greatest games of his career, won Games 2 and Game 3. They made a little switch. Warriors won Game 4 in Cleveland, and then it was sayonara from there, and then they still won. And that's the same thing that happened with the Warriors in 2022. The Celtics were up 2-1, winning Game 3 in Boston, but the Warriors won Game 4 in Boston, and then Games 5 and 6 weren't even close. They had taken back control in Game 4. So let's see what happens in game 4, because whoever wins that game has a stranglehold on the championship. Even though they'll need to win one more, they'll have it. Especially if the Pacers do, it's all but theirs. If the Thunder do, they've taken back control completely, with 2 of the final 3 games being in Oklahoma City. So I can't wait for game 4, but what a performance by the Pacers in game 3. They played their asses off, and I cannot wait to see what they do in the future, because this is one of the most fun teams I've seen that was not expected to do what they're doing. Did we really pick them to beat the Cavaliers? No. Did we pick them to beat the Knicks? I said after the Knicks beat the Celtics that the Knicks were going to go to the finals, and I thought there was no way they wouldn't. And the Pacers did it with some insane clutch performances that I'll never forget in my life. And you got to say this has to be one of my favorite teams that I've seen in the NBA recently. You know, other than Hallie, who was called the most overrated player in the league, so I don't even know if I can call him that. They don't have a superstar. Apparently, I think Hallie's a superstar, but apparently they don't have a superstar. So you have to say this is just some great, well-rounded basketball and some great roster construction and some fantastic coaching by Rick Carlisle, one of the greatest in NBA history, in my opinion. So yeah, congrats to the Pacers, and let's see what they can do in game 4, because this game was a doozy.